Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we'd like to talk about the next job of creativity and how Zespri turned a nutrition challenge into a cultural movement. This is not just a story about selling kiwi fruit. It's a story about how a brand can help change everyday behavior.
I'm Kanako Inomata, Head of Marketing APAC at Zespri. Very nice to meet you.
And I'm Yuichi Kitada, Group Creative Director at Dentsu. Kanako and I have been working together on Zespri for more than a decade. And today we'd like to share how our collaboration evolved from brand communication into something much bigger, a long-term cultural project around nutrition.
First, a quick introduction. Zespri is a global kiwi fruit brand from New Zealand. We are known for high-quality kiwi fruits, but behind the product, there is a much larger belief. Our purpose is called Grown for Good. It means helping people, communities, and the environment around the world thrive through the goodness of kiwi fruits. So for Zespri, growth is not only about business growth, it is all about creating positive impacts through nutrition. In Japan, one of our biggest brand assets is the Kiwi Brothers. They started as a local Japanese campaign character, but over time, they became much more than advertising characters. They became a cultural asset, something people recognize, love, and invite into their daily lives. Since the launch of Kiwi Brothers, Zespri Japan has continued to grow. We have been strong business result, even in a very mature fruit market, and the work has been recognized creatively, including major awards in Asia. But the important point is this: creativity helped us build not only just short-term attention, but long-term brand momentum. What started in Japan is now used in 21 markets around the world. This is very meaningful for us, because a local cultural idea from Japan became a global brand asset. But at the same time, Japan still had a deeper nutrition issue that we need to address. In Japan, most major fruits are declining. Apples, orange, strawberries, many categories of flower shrinking, but kiwi fruit is the only major fruit still driving growth. So from business point of view, Zespri was doing good. However, business growth alone was not enough. Even though Zespri was growing, Japan's overall fruit consumption was still very low. So we had to ask ourselves, if we are a nutrition brand, what responsibility do we have beyond ourselves? Japan ranks 152nd out of 160 countries in fruits consumption. This is surprising to many people because Japan has a strong reputation for healthy food culture. But in reality, fruits are not a part of everyday nutrition for many Japanese people. One reason is cultural. In Japan, fruits has traditionally been treated as mizugashi, something like a fresh dessert. Fruit is often seen as something special, beautiful, seasonal, or occasional. It is not always seen as something you eat every day for nutrition. In fact, more than half of people do not see fruits as daily nutrition. For many Japanese consumers, fruit belongs to dessert, gifting, or special occasions. So the challenge was not simply awareness. People know fruit is good. But culturally, fruit is not a position as a daily nutrition habit. When people in Japan think of healthy food, they often think first of vegetables, soy products, mushroom, dairy, or fish. Fruit is there, but it's not at the center. So we had to change the role of fruit in people's mind from nice to have to part of daily nutrition. So our question became, how can we change the way Japanese people consume food? Not just how we can make people like Zespri more, not just how we can make one more campaign, but how we change a deeply embedded food culture.
And to answer that, we invited the Shed 28 to join our team. They are a purposeful growth company, helping brands grow only in a way that benefits people, planet, and prosperity. So we were very lucky to have them on our journey, and they are two amazing people, Rupen Desai and Ranjit Jasthana. Together we began a journey to rethink creativity, not as communication, but as a way to change culture. So our mission changed. Our mission was no longer selling products, but to improve society. From creating trends to changing behavior, and from advertising to problem solving. Of course, business is still a priority. However, creativity can now connect business growth with social impact. And we organize this thinking into what we call the Culture Impact Framework. It has three phases: understand, reframe, and create. First, we understand the real gap. Then, we reframe it into a cultural tension. And finally, we design and activate an idea that can change behavior. So the first step is to spot the gap. In many cases, the biggest opportunity is hidden in the gap between what people believe and what people actually do. So for Zespri, the gap was very clear. Japan believes it has a healthy food culture. However, the reality was more complicated. So with the help of the Shed team, we looked at all the SDGs, and we focused on number 2, zero hunger. At first, hunger may sound like a problem of developing countries. But today, hunger is appearing in unexpected ways, even in advanced economies. Not always as starvation, but as food insecurity, poor access, and hidden nutrition imbalance. So when we looked at Japan, we found many signs of modern food crisis. Rising food prices, pressure on school meals, aging agriculture, and millions of people with limited access to food. And this led us to a deeper question. What does hunger mean in a society where people may have enough calories, but not enough nutrition? Now here's the first contradiction. Almost everyone in Japan perceives Japanese food culture as healthy. Actually, more than 90% of people believe Japanese food is healthy. And honestly, that belief is not wrong. Japanese food culture has many strengths, but that belief can also hide the problems that exist today. The reality is that about 1 in 3 Japanese adults suffers from malnutrition. This includes both undernutrition and overnutrition. So the issue is not hunger in the traditional sense. It is a modern nutrition imbalance happening inside a country that believes it already eats well. We call this issue hidden malnutrition. It is hidden because people do not recognize it as malnutrition. They may be eating enough calories. They may even believe they are eating healthy meals. But essential nutrients are still missing. So this is what the WHO calls double burden of hidden nutrition. On one side, undernutrition. On the other side, overnutrition. Too little of what the body needs and too much of what it does not need. This made the problem much more urgent and much more culturally complex. So the first step of the framework became clear. The gap was hidden malnutrition. 1 in 3 Japanese adults suffer from malnutrition. Now the next question was, what is the cause that Zespri can credibly stand for?
The second step is to define the cause. A blunt cause cannot be borrowed from society. It has to come from the intersection of what society needs and what the blunt can genuinely contribute. So we looked for Zespri's own reason to act. We use an ikigai-like structure. What do we believe in? What is Japan asking us to solve? What are we good at? And what can we grow around? The answer became our blunt course, championing nutrition in nutrition-depleting world. So the course was not eat more fruit. It was much bigger, championing nutrition in a nutrition-depleting world. This gave Zespri a role beyond category growth. It gave the brand a social mission that still connects directly to the product. The third step is to identify leverage. A cause is not enough. We need to know what unique power Zespri had to create change. For us, the leverage was very simple. Kiwifruit is one of the most nutrition-dense fruit. Kiwifruit is packed with essential nutrients: vitamin C, dietary fiber, potassium, folic acid, vitamin E, and more. And when we look at the nutrition density, kiwifruit was at the top among majority fruits. So the product itself became a practical tool for solving the nutrition gap. This changed how we saw our business. Zespri was no longer a brand that sells kiwifruits. We wanted to become a brand that makes nutrition easy and enjoyable. That was the business transformation behind the project. This is why we launched the Nutrition Reform Project. In Japanese, we call it Eiyo Kaikaku Project. It is a long-term initiative to make better nutrition part of everyday life, not through fear, not through education alone, but by making nutrition easier, more enjoyable, and more culturally natural.
So now the first 3 steps were complete. The gap, hidden malnutrition. The cause, championing nutrition in a nutrition-depleted world. The leverage, kiwifruit is one of the most nutrient-dense fruits. Now we needed to turn this into a cultural idea. The fourth step is to reveal the tension. A good cultural idea does not start from a product message. It starts from a real tension in real lifestyles. So we looked at where good nutritional intentions break down in daily life. We found a very strong tension among office workers. More than 90% say they want to eat well. However, only about 1 in 6 feel they actually can. So the desire is there. The problem is not motivation. The problem is the reality of everyday life. Also, 1 in 4 office workers sometimes skips lunch. Now, this is not because they do not care about health. It is because workdays are busy, fragmented, and time-pressured. Lunch should be a moment for nutrition, but often it becomes the first thing people sacrifice. And even when people do eat lunch, most office workers finish within 20 minutes. So there is very little time to make a perfect healthy meal. This insight was important. If we wanted to change nutrition, we had to make it fit into real lunch behaviors, not an idealized lifestyle. So the tension became, people want to eat well, but lunch is often where good intentions fall apart. And this was our turning point. We stopped asking, how can we sell more kiwi fruit, and started asking, how can kiwi fruit help fix lunch? From here, we moved into the creative phase. Decode the culture, design the idea, and activate change. We needed to find an existing Japanese food ritual where a small change could create a new behavior. And that ritual was the bento box. Now, instead of explaining,
弁当 The Japanese lunch box, born in the age of samurai. One box, one complete meal. Every morning, parents pack them with love and care. For generations, what goes inside the bento has been taught through one song, the Bento Box song.
これくらいのお弁当箱に
A song known by every Japanese child. It lists the essential ingredients for a bento. Rice ball, check. Carrot, check. Mushroom, check. The song covers it all. But Zespri noticed one thing. The original song never mentioned fruits. Here's why that matters. Japan ranks 150 seconds in the world for fruits consumption. 67% don't see fruit as daily nutrition. Fruits was never given a place in Japanese meals. But Zespri found out adding fruits could lift health scores 22%. So instead of launching another health campaign, we chose to update culture itself. Zespri presents the missing verse, completing the Bento symphony.
これくらいの
We reimagined the song and added a new verse inviting people to similar cute foods into the little empty space.
せ穴の開いたスペースに楽に栄養キウイ
Children found it as food. Companies began adding fruits to bentos. The song went viral. It spread across Japan. Bento and fruit mentions increased 924%. Nutrition and Kiwi Fruits Association rose from 11th to 5th. And sales grew 105%. Zespri didn't just sell more fruits. They put the nation member what nutrition really means. All it took was one mass.
the idea was called the missing verse. In Japan, there is a famous children's song that teaches what goes inside a bento box. But fruit was missing from the lyrics. So we updated the song and added a new verse, inviting people to slip in a kiwi fruit in the empty space of a bento box. The result was not just attention. Sales grew, penetration grew, bento fruit mentions increased, nutrition association improved, and brand power reached an all-time high. So when we map it back to the framework, the logic becomes clear. We decoded the culture. What belongs in a bento box had been taught through one song, but fruit was missing. We designed the idea, update the song, and add a verse. And we activated the change through schools, workplaces, and bento shops across Japan. And this also helped us to organize a broader creative playbook. There are many ways to change culture. You can revive culture, update culture, accelerate, hack, replace, or even if we were lucky, create new cultures. And in this case, we updated and hacked an existing cultural ritual. We did not create something from zero. We changed what was already familiar. The final piece is what we call the innovation hourglass. At the top, we open wide many ideas, many possibilities. Then we narrow down through validation and production. And after launch, we open up again into routinization, movement, and eventually create a culture. The goal is not just to launch an idea. The goal is to help a new behavior become normal.
So the next job of creativity may not be only to make people aware. It may be to help people act differently, to make better choices easier, and to turn a business challenge into a cultural movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.